Coach, I asked Coach Allen this too. When you have an offensive coordinator that's got kind of an established style, Coach Longo's kind of done what he's done for a really long time, but then you've got maybe some personnel changes, like the quarterback you can be confident in, some personnel changes you might not know, like Braylon Allen may play, may not. Just what's the balance of, I guess, preparing for scheme when you've got a good comfort level with what that's going to look like versus players within that scheme where maybe there's a couple key pieces that might be there, might not?
Yeah, for sure. I think you just go back to what does the film show you, right? So you have a system, you try to dive into a system and understand it, then you also see who are the pieces of the system, right? And what do they do best? And you say, okay, how could those be highlighted, and, if they don't have a guy, how does that change things from that standpoint? But obviously, Coach Longo's done a really good job at a bunch of different places and got a lot of respect for him. And I think it starts with his system from there. But definitely we study the personnel and how they function best.
Matt, on your right, and Daniel.
Hey, Coach. Jordan Shaw got first playing time this past week. Now, you don't coach his specific position, but as a DB coach, you're working with Coach Shelby a lot. What have you seen from him? What do you like about him as a player and his upside?
Yeah, he's done a great job. To me, it starts with mentality. He has that. So for any young guy to be able to step up in a big spot, we had seen that develop, over weeks and say, hey, we got to get him, inserted in this role, and obviously with Noah down, we made a decision, from a packaging standpoint to be able to put him into, some slot corner type roles and things like that. And, he's got toughness to be able to blitz and you're able to see that. But it's mentality to me. It starts with that. He has skills, but it's mentality.
With Kobe Minor, I think PFF has him at 11 receptions allowed for the entire season. I think 1 against Penn State, 0 last week. How'd you kind of evaluate his overall play so far this year?
Yeah, he's done a good job. Coach Shelby's done a great job, with him, and he's a guy that's progressed. When I first came here in the spring, was able to see the talent that he had, and to me, he's gotten more comfortable in our system and done a really good job.
Matt, what was the turnaround? What happened this week in comparison to previous 2 or 3 weeks with this football team on the defensive side of the ball? There was more discipline. There was an effort level that was different, it seemed like to me.
Yeah, discipline, consistency, pulling guys up to an expectation level. You've seen the flashes of it, but it was, hey, we're doing it every single play. So our messaging to the guys was one play. That's it, one play. Put the ball down. How hard are you going to fight on one play to do your job for your brothers? That was our mentality for the game, right? And then no matter what happens, the dust settles. One play. Let's do it again, right? So we just simple. Here's what we're going to do. Here's our attack plan. And let's go get them.
Andre Carter played a lot more kind of inside, more than he had the rest of the season, just snaps wise. Was that something you want to take advantage of against Penn State, or see something do moving forward? And with his season as a whole, sack numbers aren't there, but pressures, have been very disruptive. How have you kind of evaluated his whole body of work?
Yeah, for sure. He's a big, strong guy, right? So we look at matchups every single week and where we can best utilize his skill set. Some packages, he's on the edge. Some packages, he's on the inside, right? So we've had a little bit of that all year, but yeah, then each week we say, okay, hey, this is our favorite attack to be able to do that. So we bumped him in, and he did a good job there. He's got skills at both places. He's a disruptive guy. I think you've seen that consistently from that standpoint. Sacks are obviously important. They're huge havoc plays, but you're able to affect a passer without necessarily stats that show up at times too, right? So being around the quarterback, harassing a quarterback, I think that he's done a good job from that standpoint.
Mixing on your right, then Zach.
Coach, I realize that given the defensive performance, the one that probably sticks in your head is the late touchdown that at the end of the game. What did you kind of see on film, looking back on that play that might have led to that? Yeah,
what keeps me up always is, do you put your guys in best positions to go win a game there, and I wish that I could put us in a better position, a more protected position in that role. 3 minutes left, 3 timeouts, their full offense available at that time. They just ran the ball for 10 yards against us and, had a 50-50 call in that situation and had an unprotected guy down the field. And, I wear every bit of that and, we'll work hard to put us in the best position, always.
I guess this is a bit more of a philosophical question, but going back to talking about sacks versus pressures in modern football, when passing offenses are designed to move the ball so quickly, do you almost talk to guys about pressures the same way you talk, and hurries the same way you talk about sacks, in the sense that maybe it's not quite as conventional of a statistic, but you're just not going to maybe have as much time for the pass rush to get home? Sometimes it is just about getting a guy off his spot or just getting him sped up.
Yeah, so we talk about affecting the quarterback in totality, right? And rush and coverage working together. And there's times that you could play a max coverage and the quarterback has to pat the ball and then a sack may happen there. Or there's a time that you bring a pressure and the ball has to come out really fast So it may not be a sack on the stat book from there, but you've affected the quarterback, right? So we talked about coverage disguise the same way. Do we do a good job from that standpoint, and then a quarterback has to catch a ball and then think, you know what I mean? So all of that goes under that umbrella of how we affect a quarterback. And it's not just stats from that standpoint. It's about what's the end result and the production level.
With Anthony Jones, I believe he played a new high in snaps on Saturday. Have you kind of seen him ascend throughout the year, and what's next for him?
Yeah, he's a good football player. He plays multiple positions. He plays our wolf position in some of our heavier packages, which we got a bunch of, two tights in that game against Penn State. And he's also able to play our bull position. He has flexibility. You see his physicality at the point of contact. But no, I've been pleased with his progress and expect a high level to continue.
To see Josh Sanguinetti come up with a big interception. I mean, Allard never thrown an interception at the college level. I mean, just, how happy were you for him to see him come up with a play like that?
Yeah, it was great for him to be able to, step up in a big spot right there and make a game-changing play in that moment, And then obviously it's on us to go finish it and capitalize with the tie game. But I was, really happy for him. He's worked really hard and, been a guy that's obviously produced, with, from a ball production standpoint, a bunch throughout his career. Thanks, guys.